the real point is this. I'm learning that if you do this properly, you don't need a whole bunch of compensation moves, okay? All right, I want to tell you about something I think is very important. Now, I've been doing this golf project for 5 years, and what I just discovered is new. And I think it's really the culmination of all my work. So I've experimented with different swing moves to try to solve certain problems. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I think I pretty much understand stuff now. And so that's why, even though I was getting a pretty good swing the last couple of months, I knew it still wasn't right. It was a little sloppy. So instead of being with a tight right elbow, with a bent spine to the right, and having the full hips turned, my hips would not turn as much, and I'd get a little sloppy. So I was basically aborting the swing. Instead of turning all the way through, I would abort the swing and then let the arms finish, okay? And that leads to inconsistency and speed loss. So I wanted to really figure out, well, what am I doing? And it's when you get to this stage of the swing, from good to really good, you can't see it on video. So I've got to describe it. And that is, as you know, I've been working on, for the last couple of months, understanding that it starts with the hips. So first, you got to figure out how your hips pivot. In my case, this is what it looks like. It turns this way, right leg, and turns this way. Other people can, you know, that whole Mike Adams stuff. So first you got to understand how you pivot. But anyway, I think it's the same for everybody. And that is, when you fully turn that right hip back, your left knee is going to flex. And here's the thing. You want to then kind of try to reverse that on the downswing. So if the knee is flexed, and this is, I'm exaggerating with a fully straight, then straight, flexed, okay? And that even wasn't enough, because then I went out to the driving range and it failed. Because when I get nervous, I don't turn. And then well, what's going on? It's these internal rotators, okay? The muscles that make your leg, make your knee go this way and this way are what we don't fire enough to get the complete swing. So in the backswing, to get a full backswing, you've got to turn your pelvis, but you've got to drive that left knee this way as you tilt left. And then the key move in the downswing is to do the opposite, fire the right knee towards the target as you flex it, okay? So you got to work on this complete move. And the key for me is to realize the internal rotators. So this and this, okay? And then to keep the upper body working and not get sloppy, you've got to fire all of these muscles here that tilt your spine. So instead of thinking of moving your hands and all that stuff, at least for me, this is a body swing, okay? Is you think about, so here's your shoulders here, bent down. You're going to bend them up like this, okay? Bend to the left, bend to the right, but you do that as you turn. So, see that? So the first move, you got to do it in slow motion and break it down. After about 5 days, it'll work. So first thing you do is you get maximum hips by snapping the knees, getting that left knee this way, shoulders tilted to the left, and then you start to tilt the spine to the right as you reverse the legs. Tilt the spine to the right as you reverse the legs. And for me, it's really important to really fire that right knee. Move these, okay? Because that gets, watch what happens to my hips. When I boom, I get full turn. If I keep this, you know, so I don't know if that's applicable to a lot of people, but for me, when I get nervous out on the golf course, these freeze up and I don't turn. But then when you start to be like Sam Snead and stuff, and you go, boom, for me, now I think those basic anatomical moves work for everybody. I don't care who you are. But that's how you get from sort of a half-ass swing that kind of looks like this at impact to a swing that looks like this at impact. is making sure you reverse the legs back, 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 and making sure you tilt to the left, tilt to the right. And so I worked on that by breaking it down. I would go this, and then I would go, oh, you know, you got to break it down into parts and stuff. And so the real point is this. I'm learning that if you do this properly, you don't need a whole bunch of compensation moves, okay? So, if you don't turn your body properly, guess what? You're going to come over the top. That means you've got to do a whole bunch of things with your arms and wrists, okay? So you've got to have a flexed left wrist, supination to shallow it, ulnar deviation, all of these, and everyone does it. Sergio Garcia, they have these compensation moves where they do all this weird stuff because they're not completely perfectly turning their hips and shoulders. It's probably good to have that as well because then you supercharge everything. And I'm not saying it's bad to do what Colin Morikawa and Dustin Johnson do. I'm just saying ideally, if you can turn your shoulders and hips right, you shouldn't need to do a whole bunch of stuff with your wrists to shallow and all that stuff, okay? I've tried it, trust me. I've successfully done everything you can imagine. I've done this, but it was only because this wasn't working. So I'm finally getting the core torso to turn, and I'm realizing, oh, I don't need to do all those weird things with the hands, okay? So that's the real point is it is possible to get that perfect, huge Lee Trevino, Joaquin Neiman, Tommy Fleetwood look if you really understand what's going on here. So I haven't taken a single practice swing all day. Here we go, first shot of the day, no practice. So I'm going to do some